Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back. It is a lovely afternoon, and today we are going to be getting into ticker symbol Doge, as well as the broader cryptocurrency market, because it's very, very ominous right now. You can almost feel dread in the air. Like everyone thinks that the theater is closed. It is ended. The bull market is over. But in the meantime, you're the closest to a 4-hour MACD cross I've ever seen in my life. You're printing a 4-hour bullish hammer candle, and you got a nice reaction to the bounce there. And you could potentially break this downtrend, which would bring you to the top of this descending resistance at 23 cents on Doge. Now, once we get back up to 23 cents, that will be the true test on Dogecoin to see if this thing is ready to pop into the major key resistance at 25 cents. That line right there has just acted as an absolute bully on Dogecoin. So we're going to be looking to see, are you strong enough? Can you pass this thing? Or are you just going to continue to get butchered along this horizontal resistance? But the chart itself looks really good if you zoom out. And I know a lot of people are not accustomed to zooming out. But let me tell you, if you zoom out, you have broken this downside resistance, popped up, retested, and now you're still within that flag or pennant formation that you've been forming. I will say you're above the 200-day EMA. You have to climb back above the 50. And it looks like that's what you're possibly doing here. So above the 50 and you get into a little bit more vertical territory. But if you guys wanted to know why I have this flag formation, this is the flag pole. You put that on the potential breakout here going into a holiday weekend. And that would take you up to 38 cents. Now, am I saying that Dogecoin's just going to V-line straight up to 38 cents? No, I mean, typically, that's not how it works, except for here and then here, right? I do think you're still going to bonk your head on that 28-cent level, trade sideways, go, and then the last point of support or last resistance before you absolutely rocket up to 40 cents would be this 34-cent territory where you had this cliff last that you consolidated on top of before cliff diving. Which brought you to this accumulative double bottom formation on Doge that you are breaking. You're looking to break higher. It is a very, very good chart on Dogecoin. And even better yet, what typically drives Doge? We know it's Ethereum, right? Ethereum, significantly more bullish than Bitcoin. I'd like to see this thing get a little bit more vertical since breaking its all-time high. However, you broke the all-time high and you held the areas. You held the level relatively well. You're trading sideways continuously here, and you're within this kind of like falling wedge or, I'd call it a falling wedge formation. That if you go to the 4-hour, you're about to cross up on the 4-hour MACD, which is a good thing. And you are slowly but surely starting to peek your head out of this falling wedge while you get the cross. For me, it's a no-brainer. This thing will poke its head and test the 200 or the 50-day EMA up at $4,500 about. It looks kind of like a double bottom pattern here, but it could be playing out a more macro, some kind of resistance channel here. Let's see. Get rid of that. Maybe a megaphone. I doubt it. You could look at if that was a megaphone, you would get obliterated. But I don't think it is. Bitcoin is actually in the megaphone. Maybe it's a little bit more horizontal here. Maybe it's like that, right? But you'd like to see this pop on good volume. And guys, for real, that could take you up to $5,000, this pop right here, because you have literally come within $44 of $5,000. Ethereum above $5,000, that's a whole nother ball game. Ethereum above $5,000 and then alt season's back. Like it could just literally be like that. Because when this thing makes its moves, which it's done so often recently, it just kind of extends, right? So Ethereum is at a rapid pace catching up to the Bitcoin, not the price, but the dominance of Bitcoin has gone down pretty significantly. But back into Doge, right? With Ethereum at $5,000, when that happens, I would anticipate Doge to be somewhere up here. Not financial advice, but we did go over in our last couple videos Dogecoin targets and where you could look to bump your head on Doge. I do believe, and it is my opinion, that you are going to come up to this 43-cent line here that's acted as significant resistance on Dogecoin in past. And then you're going to bump your head here, so something like this. Boom. Come back down to 40. And then, boom. No, I wasn't done. Let's take that moment to zoom out. And you create this almost like cup and handle formation before you look to gain higher prices, right? And I think this is when just FOMO breaks in, but it may not take that long to get up here. And depending on how long it takes, I've given it a very lenient time frame into 2026. But depending on how fast you get up here, I mean, the top could look like October 16th, 90-cent Dogecoin. It really could. I simply just took the tops here, 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 and here, which measure up pretty much perfectly, and I brought it over here. So depending on when you see your macro move, that would depend on how high the price would go. Inevitably, right? Everyone always says the longer you coil, the higher you go. That is the case here on Dogecoin, and it looks really, really nice. I would expect a large size move once you break this 40-cent range. I would expect a really nice move. But beyond just lines, right? I love painting the picture. I love charting the stocks and the crypto. There are certain indicators on Dogecoin specifically that help paint the topping resistance. And in case you're new here, I'd like to just go over it one more time with you because it's pretty significant. Bam. There we go. Man, that chart looks good. That's such a U-shaped pattern. Let's pull back up the RSI and let's go to the daily. So the RSI on the daily, guys, for Dogecoin. I wanted to overview it so that you guys can see almost perfectly what I'm talking about, right? Before I hadn't had it overviewed, and you might not have understood it as well, but it being overviewed like this, you can begin to picture here bearish RSI divergence on the daily and how to spot that as a trader, right? I think this version helps a lot more for me, and that looks so coiled on the RSI. If I wanted to just paint that for you guys. Gotta hold that trend line right there. You're on top of it. Sorry, I got distracted. I was looking at how coiled the RSI looks here on the daily. But there is a way to identify where this thing is a potential sell. And the way that I have spotted on Dogecoin has happened literally every single time. You've marked your macro top. And I'll show you here. You had an instance, right? You had an equal price, but you had significantly lower RSI and adherently underneath the RSI band. You then retraced here 43%. And that was as recently as June, guys, that you saw that daily bearish RSI divergence. The most important ones, though, are always at the tops here, and I'll show you. You make a high on the RSI at about 92, very, very significant. Price then makes a higher high. Well, the RSI makes a lower high. That was your selling signal here, that this thing was juiced and topped out. And from the top to the bottom, you went down 72%. Furthermore, you had another example back in March of 2024 where you make a high on the RSI at 94. So there's a very consistent trend here. As soon as you're above 88, you are absolutely cooked and juiced on this coin. You make one pullback and a move higher here while the RSI makes a low, right? You see price makes a higher high, RSI makes a low here, and then the stock or the crypto puts in a 63% drop. But wait, we're not done there, right? There is another example. If I go back to here. Yes, that is an example. It's very, very short. It's only a couple days, but you can see here the RSI tops out right here. You put in a higher wick candle, but the RSI closes lower. You then proceeded to go down from the top to the bottom. Let's just take in 61 days, 60%. So that is not ideal returns, right? But just to prove a point here, because I'm stubborn, and I think Doge pretty much follows this to a T every single time. What have I done? There we go. You can see on the RSI, right? Doge made a high, total high at 96. That is insanely overbought. You then came down. You made a higher high. RSI made a lower high. And I'll distinguish that with trend lines. That is pitch perfect. RSI bearish divergence. Your coin then dropped 96%. So I am not doing this to be bearish. Actually, quite the opposite. I am saying we are on the verge of a squeeze-like run, and this is how I have identified the possibility to get as close to the top if you're looking to make profit as you can be. This is the main topping signal on Dogecoin, and watch it be wrong this next run, right? But this has been consistently accurate for timing the top. So I'm not that guy. I'm not going to time the top. I'm not going to try to, right? It's way too difficult to adhere to emotional stability during these swings, right? I mean, I'm sure right here, I'm going to be bull posting like crazy. I'm going to be saying Dogecoin's going to the moon. But for those that are emotionally resilient and emotionally tough, I guess I could say. I'd consider myself kind of robotic, but this coin can take you for some absolute launch pad roller coaster rides. So that is my video on the Dogecoin RSI divergence and how to spot the tops here. On the macro, I mean, the chart looks great. I do think you're looking for a breakout here soon. With the end of this flag pattern coming to about 9.6. So next week, we should get a decision going into the Fed rate cut or rate nothing, right? They might not do anything, but I believe they're going to rate cut on mid-September. We'll see. And if that does happen, guys, that should send a lot of our assets. Finally, it's been so long. I've literally held through all of this but I can feel it. I know something is going to happen. You're in a double bottom. You're in a flag. You've broken resistance. You retested it. It looks really, really nice, guys. So almost a cheers-like moment. Cheers to you guys who have stuck around. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm hoping that you got a lot done today. You're hitting the gym. You're finding gains. And you're spending time with your family. So God bless each and every one of you guys. Thank you for the sub. Make sure to drop the subscribe button today. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.